What's up, people? Welcome back to another podcast. This is the second take of this podcast because last time Joe forgot to turn on the mic.
Not my fault.
But the extra thing about this one was we got Oreos and milk. So you scared the living daylight out of me, dude. I thought somebody was opening the garage door. Bruh. Nay, do that. Don't do that, child.
I swallowed my milk.
Okay, comment down below if Oreos are literally the best thing or best snack ever created by man.
By who?
My man. I think they're straight from heaven.
Jerky.
Well,
I mean, that's not really created by man. That was sent by God.
mm-hmm.
Had to be.
I mean,
Dear me.
God created deer, so. Anyway, pay no mind to this. This is just my deer. It's just for aesthetics. But yeah, it's pretty cool deer. Either way,
Next time we'll have mine in the background.
Next time, yeah. But we were talking about Joe's deer he shot, which has been long overdue because he shot his well over a month ago, and we're just now talking about it. So basically, we're going to hear the story of, from him getting this property, being just a grind for a couple years, finally getting it done on a 140-inch deer, pretty much. So, first of all, who are you, and what are you doing here?
I'm Luke Bryan.
No, you're not. You could try and have Luke Bryan on here. He's only like.
Well, I'm Joe Hostetler, and I just came for the milk and cookies.
And I heard something about telling a hunting story.
Yeah, that too. $20 is $20.
This is for free, guys. It's $20 worth of milk and Oreos.
Facts.
But anyway, are you older than me?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
A lot.
Like 1 year and 3 weeks, dude.
A lot.
Mm-mm.
Been a lot. I'm just a lot more mature.
He's end of October. I'm beginning of October. Just a year apart. So I mean, hey, I'm just gonna say you're just a year older than me. Yep.
But how old are you?
18. You ain't even 19 yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
You made me think of that. I was like, whoa, what?
No, I got it.
That makes me almost 2 years older than you.
No.
No, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, you're.
I turned 18 3 weeks.
Not quite a year older than you.
I turned 18 3 weeks before you turned 19.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah, whatever. I'm a lot more mature than
October 28th is him. October 3rd is me. So next year, just wish it happy birthday on Instagram.
Close.
29th? Dang it. I was close.
Wait, when's yours?
October 3rd.
Yeah, I knew that.
All right. Enough craziness aside, though, I'm gonna kick back and listen, but Joe's gonna do a lot of talking. We're gonna try to keep this within 45 minutes because we got church to go to Sunday evening. But we're gonna hear about how a killing of a deer got Joe off of social media for a couple months, and just a good story. So knock us out of the water.
Okay. So
while I keep that. We'll start from the beginning.
Okay, so from the beginning, in the beginning, God created the heavens.
I knew you were going to start like that. A little bit farther to us, not that far.
Like
back.
last year.
Like no, I mean you can add.
Okay, so like last year, pretty much for 2 years, I've been out here on the grind. Okay, so like last year, it was a rough year. I hunted a lot, put a lot of time into it. Never got a buck last year. I wounded a buck, which made it twice as bad. But then, so this year I was pretty determined. I was out doing a lot of glassing, doing a lot of door knocking a couple months before the season. And even earlier than that, I was doing door knocking. I was doing a lot of glassing and stuff. Had a couple of good bucks I was eyeing, and small property I could hunt them there. And about a week before velvet season, they pretty much just disappeared. There was a lot of construction going on.
Building them chicken barns, man.
Yeah. Last year, most of my hunting was in Kentucky, but I lost 2 of my best properties down there this year. I haven't hunted much at all down there this year, but it was pretty much grinding. lot of evenings out glassing, even months before the season.
A lot of hours on Onyx.
Yeah, a lot of hours on
Onyx, please sponsor.
A lot of putting myself out there, just asking random people if I can hunt their property. That's harder than you would think. But yeah. See, didn't have much luck. I killed it. Okay, so I guess there's this one property. I'm lost now because this is the second time I'm telling you. Okay, so yeah, like there's one property that I felt like the bucks I've been watching have probably disappeared to, and I asked the guy about this property, and I, I first of all, it took me a while to find the guy that owned the property because he didn't live there on the property. Anyways, I found him, asked him if there's any way that he'd have some firewood he needs split or just any work around the farm that we could exchange for permission to hunt the property. And he said he doesn't really have anything or he doesn't really know of anything he would have me do. And he's got some family members that hunt, but they had a lot of property more than just the farm I was asking about, so he didn't really know for sure. He was like, "Give me your number and I'll think of it, see if I come up with something." Didn't hear back from him for a while. Then a couple weeks later, about a week before bow season, he calls me and he told me he decided to let me hunt till muzzleloader season. And I was super pumped because this property was looking good. Like at cornfields, yeah, just a really good looking property, good location. And yeah, I got cameras set up, spent a day pretty much getting some stands hung and getting cameras out. And to my surprise, there was hardly any deer on my cameras. Like I had a few does, and some couple small bucks, and a big time poacher, trespasser. I showed pictures to the property owner.
Drug dealer.
He's like, "That's the local drug dealer. You don't really want to mess with him." The road named after his last name. So yeah, just an old guy you couldn't really mess with. But he always had a rifle on him. He didn't really want to get the law involved. So there's that. No bucks for a while there. Then I was hunting. I hunted there some. Did a little public land hunting. Went to Land Between the Lakes. Going back in 2 miles to a spot that I knew was good on Land Between the Lakes, and I actually wounded a nice buck back there, which sucks. If you're a hunter and you've wounded a deer, not found it, that was the second deer.
It's so annoying.
That was the second good buck I wounded in the last 2 years. Last year was with the rifle during rifle season. It didn't get. It's just like the worst feeling ever. Makes you just question your whole. Should you even be hunting? I don't know, but it sucks. It's a bad feeling. But we did everything we could to find this deer. Never found it. And then, yeah. Long story short, I started getting a little bit of nighttime bucks. Like I started getting a couple bucks on there, good shooters, but in the middle of the night, no daytime action. And about a week before muzzleloader season, they finally cut the corn. And I knew with the corn being cut, we had a we had a big cold front coming in.
Best one of the season.
Yeah,
literally.
I knew there was going to be deer moving and daylighting. And even though I didn't have one, I don't think I've ever had one daylight picture on that farm that month that I had it of a shooter. I got out there. I think it was actually Sunday afternoon. It was the first. No, I think it's probably Monday morning.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think I got out the first morning. I saw like one deer, and that evening I I was hunting in a little cornfield in the back. There's a bigger field up in the front with a couple of houses bordering up to it, and I didn't really figure that deer would be out in that field a lot. So I wasn't really I was hunting back in the little backfield that seemed like it would be super good. And it was just right last light, and I decided I'm gonna sneak up and see if there's anything in the front field because I hadn't seen anything in the backfield. And I'm just leaving the backfield, and I look across the field, and a nice buck was walking out into the field. And I got calling, got its attention with him snort wheezing, and it started coming towards me. I had it like 100 yards, and it turned, went right down towards my blind where my mock scrape was at. So if I just stayed in the ground blind a little longer, would have probably killed him that evening. But
And was
I
that the
didn't.
broken brow tine buck?
No, I think that was a little bit of smaller buck. But anyways, then I went out to the truck after dark, and there's a lot of deer running off right at my truck, pretty much how it works. But then the next morning,
But you'd already killed a doe there.
yeah, I forgot to mention, I did kill a doe on that property earlier that year. But then the next morning, I was, yeah, I went back to the ground blind again, didn't see a thing. And then that evening, hunted again, very long evening set, didn't see a thing all evening. It was just right at last light again. I was like, afraid I was gonna mess it up, but I really wanted to see what's out in that front field at last light, and I wasn't seeing anything. So I snuck up, checked in the front field, and there was probably 10 to 20 deer out close to my truck again that I could see. And I spotted a decent buck. So I was like, I went around the edge of the field. I was like, I gotta try to get a better look at these deer and see what they actually are. And I got snuck up around. It was almost dark, really too dark to shoot, pretty much. And I all of a sudden I realized I was sneaking. I think I was crawling through the field, and all of a sudden I realized there's deer out in front of me, like 50 yards in front of me, and they're like, yeah, all over right out in front of me. I was just like kind of popped over a little bit.
That whole
They
field
had
was like weird because it had like
it's kind
little
of hilly, yeah,
hilly, and like you could definitely there deer could be there and you didn't see them.
yeah, and they had no idea I was there. None of them deer ever spotted me, at least not that I could tell. But then I was just glassing them like 50 yards. It's still hard to see. Like it was so dark, it was hard to see what they were. But then all of a sudden, I saw a bigger buck. Well, there was a decent 8 point I was watching. All of a sudden, behind him, I just saw a lot of antler, and it looked like the deer was limping. I'm still not sure what deer it was. It might have just been that dark that I thought he was limping. Just walked, but there was a lot of antler. That's all I knew.
That'd been insane if it was a
So
big
it
eight
just,
point.
I was just laying there. I was laying there in the field. It could have been, but I was laying there in the field. Just it got dark, and I didn't know the deer were still there or not. I finally snuck off and never got blown that I know of. But yeah. The next morning, I was like, I'm still gonna hunt the backfield, I guess, because I didn't have a stand hung. And then I was like, midday, I'll hang a stand over on the property line, try to get right in on these where these deer are crossing over onto the property. And then I got out there before daylight the next morning, and like, man, I really want to hunt out in the field, the front field. And there was a big old stump that was up just up on top of the hill. I was like close to my truck, but I was just where I could see kind of the whole field. And I was like, I really want to see what's in this field this morning, even though I didn't really think the deer were out there in the mornings. I checked a couple in the mornings. I sneak out there mid morning, like when I was hunting down at the blind, and I just hunched up against this big old stump. And then a little while after daylight, deer just started piling into the field. There was probably 10 deer in the field. One nice 8 point. I had like 80 yards. A decent buck that I would probably shot if he came close enough. And then I had a doe come around and probably 5 yards behind me, and she started blowing. And I'm just sitting here trying not to move. She comes around the front. She never actually picked me out. She came, stood there like 10, 20 yards in front of me, just stood there blowing at me, trying to figure out what's going on. Like, and then she finally, like, after blowing for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes probably, she starts walking away. And the other deer, the smaller 8 point, and the there's a couple other small bucks out there and some does in the field. They didn't seem to care at that point that she was blowing. I don't know. I guess, yeah, she was probably just a Karen that no one cared about. But yeah. Anyways, then about the time she starts
Karens.
walking away, all of a sudden I realize all the deer are like looking down at the other end of the field, and I look down there and I just see a big old body, and I'm like, I got in the binoculars, and sure enough, there's a big old buck down there. And yeah, he never came. He came into like 100 yards, and he was probably 300 yards first time I saw him. But that morning, he never came into range, and I'm like, okay, well, I know where I need to be that evening. So I hung a stand right on the property line and got in there early that evening. This was what, Wednesday evening, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because I remember you texted me.
yeah, and I really felt like I had a good chance on getting in on this buck if he does the same thing either that night or the next morning. And then I got out that night and pretty early, about an hour and a half before dark, or hear something coming through the woods. I start getting excited, and then I start hearing voices. And there's two old people and their dog just walking through the woods. Really weird. I haven't heard them talking about a hunter. I think they were talking about me. They were just, yeah, they were seeing this hunter up on the neighbor's property that we're hunting, or I'm not sure exactly what they said. Just randomly talking about deer or whatever hunter. I don't know. They never saw me. They were a little way. They were probably 100 yards from me, but I could hear them talking. And they came back through probably 30 minutes before dark. I still saw a few
Right at prime
does.
time.
I still saw a few does way out in the field, on the other end of the field that night, but nothing. And then I had 2 more days that I had permission on this property. And
Did you
I
have
don't
until
know,
muzzleloader season?
yeah, because I had the property till muzzleloader season. I don't know if I really mentioned it, but this property was like by far my best. Like I don't really have good bucks much on camera right now this year on any other property. I for sure didn't at the time. So I was like, this was my property. I needed to get it done. And so I had this was Wednesday, and so the next morning, Thursday morning, I got out there, didn't see a thing most of the morning. Late morning, I think I saw a doe and a couple of fawns out in the field, and then
So what day was these? Like literally one of these days, you texted us guys on the group chat. And you're like, I got it done, and you literally had excitement in your voice, and you saw blood, and then you just stuck a squirrel. Was that Wednesday
I think
morning?
that was the first day I was out there.
No, it was midway
Maybe
through the week
second.
because I remember you like been posting video or like you like sending videos and stuff
It
of
was
sitting out
actually it
there.
was Tuesday, I think maybe. It was pretty early.
I thought it was Wednesday. I
That
thought it was
might-
Wednesday morning.
No, Wednesday morning I was up in the main field. I shot the squirrels back.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I was just leaving the stand, and there's a squirrel, and yeah, I shot it down. But the blood and everything on the
Nothing,
camera.
not scaring all of us guys. Like literally about, I was literally like starting to text, let's go, and then the video panned to a squirrel.
A dead squirrel. That's something.
Freaking good shot too, though.
Yeah.
Right through the vitals. He didn't go 20.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Thursday morning, my third day out there. Third day out of 4. No, fourth day out of 5. Yeah, that I had to hunt the place. And I that was the corn was cutting away. Yeah, I got out there in my stand and didn't see a thing. Oh wait, no.
Chap squat. You didn't.
Yeah, that's what I saw a doe and a couple fawns. And I'm getting confused because the weather was similar. The day before, I was like, hope they're not winding me that I just never knew. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I was stressing out all day. Anyways, I went and gonna get out there early. I went, got something to eat, got some gas,
Almost
took
killed
off
me.
with the gas pump, ripped the gas pump off the pump. I was able to put it back on. It's like a coupling. I didn't know, but like I was filling up. You
Was it-
take
where
off
was
with a
that?
gas
What's-
pump. I put a little scratch on the side of my
Which
truck. But
which?
the shell in Monterey. I just like took off and got pop went back, dragging the gas pump. Or the, yeah,
What
the
is,
hose-
was there
the
anybody
hose.
else there?
I don't know if anyone really saw. I'm sure someone saw it, but I didn't really pay attention. I
Did it,
was
like,
stressed
Did it
out.
spill gas? Because like when I
Uh-uh.
met you, like, so if you went there and you went home, I met you on your way out because I was literally just getting home from work, and I meant like you were pulling out of your lane, and I remember waving and I honked at you, and you literally just sat there,
I never saw you.
just like I mean, I was like, dude, that's a tired, stressed out dude. Like you could just see it.
Dude, I was like worked up. And then I was like, why?
And it was
Oh.
late because I mean I got out to the stand the same, or like I was sitting in a blind the same evening, and I was like, man, I got to get home and go straight to the blind because
I was
like, it was late.
confused. I was like, now that I'm finally got a stand hung there, and I know where the deer had been the last couple nights, I'm like, why? Like, surely did they see me going in? Like, I just snuck in there really good, like early. Anyways, then I went home for a little bit, ended up falling asleep on the couch or something. So I ended up getting kind of late out to the stand, or not late, but later. It was still a few hours before dark, but like later than I wanted to be, because I was gonna get out there really early. Like I want to shoot a shot. Anyways, got out there, was sitting out there for a while and looking at the weather. The weather the next day was warming up a lot. I was like, okay, if I'm gonna get it done, it needs to be this evening. Like, I just didn't have a lot of hope for the next day. The next day was Friday, which would have been the last day that I had to hunt that property this year. So I was like, yeah, just sitting there contemplating life, just like thinking kind of about the last 2 years. Like, nothing seemed to go right. I'm like, and I was like, started praying. I was like God, like what am I doing wrong? I was like, not just with hunting, like just like in life in general. Like I just felt like there's something holding me back, and I felt like God just, yeah, He told me I'm wasting a lot of time. Like, a big thing was on social media. I was like just wasting time when I could be studying His Word, like, or just, you know, doing something way better and more efficient.
More worth of time.
Yeah, and just scrolling through social media or whatever, and I was like I was almost having a conversation with God. Like, if you're a Christian, you know what I mean. But
You come to a breaking point and you just have to say, like,
yeah,
God, I
like
know
what
I'm
do I
doing,
need to give up? Or
it's
I
like
don't.
what am I doing wrong? You know, you come to a point where you just realize that you cannot do it by your own strength. It has to be a higher power. And it's just like you come to a breaking point, you can have that conversation with God. Like we were talking about this in church, even. Like how do you come before the Lord? And it's like when God sees that you're at a breaking point, you're at a place where you're saying,
You're willing to give up.
if you're willing to sacrifice, you're willing to give Him the time. I mean, like even in the Bible, it says, I mean, God's a jealous God. He wants, if we're going to give him anything, we need to give it all. So it's pretty much all or nothing, and you got to come to that point where you say, God, I'm willing. I'm willing to do what it takes.
Yeah, no,
I mean, that's like literally that's literally my favorite part about your story. It's like literally,
dude,
it's just
it's
like
insane.
it's such this deer is such a God deer. It's just literally like
I
there's
was-
no other words
it's
to describe
literally
it.
like I'll never forget that day. Like it was just. Anyways, what was that? I was like, I told God, I was like, I'll try to do better. Like, but then I'm like, how many times? Like, how many times that we'll try to do better with something. Try to spend less time on social media or whatever. And then I was like, you know what? I was like, oh God, I was like, you just give me a decent buck tonight. It doesn't have to be a monster, just a decent buck. It's my first buck with a bow. Like, just give me something decent. I was like, I'll delete all my social media for at least 2 months. And yeah, I think I was crying. Like I was just stressed out. I don't know. And
I mean,
yeah, I felt this deep conversation with God.
You see it with so many other hunters, like especially like if you were hunting for a full week, you the stress gets to you, the pressure builds, and like everything.
You have to break down and
You
realize
break
there's
down and
nothing
realize,
any work you can do. In the end, God's got to play a big part in whatever. Yeah,
He's not
whatever's
going to
happen.
give
if
you
it's not His will. Yeah.
He's not going to get. Basically, you got to trust God. He's not going to give you the roadmap. He's just going to tell you to go down the road. He's not going to give you the map, otherwise it wouldn't be trust.
Yeah.
So,
anyways, I was like, at that point, I got peace. I was just like, if God wants it to happen, it'll happen. And yeah, I was like, if He doesn't want me to get a deer, I just kind of had that peace. I was like, if it's not meant to be, it's just not meant to be. He doesn't want me to get me one. I definitely felt a deep connection that day, like probably more than I've ever felt, like in a deer stand. And yeah, I was like just sitting there and then about probably 30 minutes before dark, whatever, there was deer started. I started seeing some deer. There's some does walking through the woods. Decent buck walked through probably 100 yards, and he went out into the field. Went out kind of the other way into the field. And I was at that point, I was like, I would have shot him. Like if he came close enough, more than likely, I didn't get a great look at him, but like I could see him out in the field. Like yeah, he was a decent buck. And I started rattling. It was getting close to dark, and couldn't get his attention. I was doing some grunting. I just could not get his attention. Like, yeah. I was like, well, guess it's not meant to be. Like, and it was just like last shooting light. I started giving up, and I turned my camera off, closed my camera, and sitting there. I think I started packing my stuff up a little bit. I'm not sure if I really did much more than just turning my camera off. But anyways, all of a sudden I heard something behind me and directly downwind of me, coming down the field edge. I look back and there's a good buck just walking. By the time I was able to just slowly grab my bow and come around to the point where I can draw, he like stopped right in front of me at like 10 yards. Just I don't know how he didn't. I don't think I even had any scent. I think I forgot to do scent control or anything. I don't think I was wearing any scent control. I don't think I washed my hunting clothes that day. Like, and he came down like directly downwind of me and stopped right below me. Had no idea I was there. Smoked him. And like, yeah, at that point, I didn't realize how big the deer was. I called Josiah and I told him that I just smoked a deer. Like I was like, I think it's like 110-inch deer. I was like jumping up, dude. I was like, before I called him, like right after I shot, I was like bawling, pretty much like happy tears. Like I was just like,
Joyful.
I was jumping up in the stand, like just praising God.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought I shot a nice buck. That just meant the world to me at the time. Sure, just after that prayer I had and everything, like just meant that much more. Not knowing that we're gonna walk up to like almost 140-inch deer. Yeah, pretty crazy.
So like even just like this I kind of get a kick out of it. Like when you called me, I missed your first call because some cornball had hit a deer on the road and left it laying there, and I got there like maybe a minute afterwards. It was not long, and I was going to put the deer down, so I was going to the back of the truck to get my gun, and all I had was my 22. And some other an older guy came up behind me, and he saw the deer, and I didn't know if he had a gun or not, but I was still getting my gun, and suddenly boom, and the ground just shook. Boom again. And I felt like I looked, and the guy pulled out a pistol, like this old 6-shooter revolver. Looked like I don't know, like a 38 special, 45. Like, I don't know, whatever it was. Revolver. Missed the deer a couple times, and this dude was in his 80s. Pulled out his little concealed carry weapon and shot a couple times, and finally hit the deer and put it down. And me and another guy helped him load it up on his truck, and I got him back in the truck, and I was like, "Oh, Mr. Call from Joe." Called him back, and I literally I knew he was hunting, and I said, before he even you said, "Hey," and I said, "You better not be messing with me." And he's like, I just smoked one." That was awesome.
By that point, I'd already found my arrow. I was
Yeah.
like looking at the blood trail. I was about to track him, then you called. I was like, well, I'll wait for you. You were like,
We met over there
15
at
minutes.
the gas station. Got some snacks.
That was a pretty, just
But dude,
night.
walking up on that deer, the thing was a tank. Like body size, it was huge, and it went 80 yards maybe.
something like that.
It
Maybe
was a
100.
perfect double long shot. The G5 dead meat done some good work on that one.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a G5
I
guy.
walked up to it and I'm like, dude, we have a video. What did I was like, dude, this is my first buck with a no, this is my first bow with a deer. So
Yeah, you guys can go check out the video. Like I did this recovery and stuff, and it was pretty special. Like, dude, I felt special because I was the first person to know about it. If you called your mom while I was standing there, then your mom went nuts.
I don't like telling people a lot of people before I know, like just before I found it. Like this, I really wasn't sure. I didn't get a good look at the buck.
Yeah,
I knew it was a good buck, but I didn't know how good.
Well, yeah, like you said, you told me, like, I don't know, he might be like 110-inch deer. I was like, who cares? It's a buck.
Oh, I knew it was. I knew I was happy with him.
And we started walking up, and Joe's like, dude, hey, he's a good 120. He's a good one. I
Even
looked at
then,
him.
my
I was like,
eyes were just like,
I was just like, dude, he's over 130. And like, I don't want to say like score is really just, it's an extra added thing. But like we were just
it's
sitting there,
kind
just
of like you just don't really see it
yeah.
looking at him.
And
as
this
much.
thing, it gross scored 140 on the dot, and then with deductions, it was 138 and a half. Yeah, it was 138 and a half.
Was it quite 140? It was something like that. Yeah.
But that was gross scored, like without deductions. And dude, you have a thing for shooting symmetrical deer. Like this thing was 2 inches from being perfectly symmetrical. Had a 16 and a half inch spread, almost 7. No, was it 18? 18 and a half.
But no, it was 16 and a half inside, which was scored down.
Yeah. So
I think he was 138 and a half.
Yeah. Because
then I think he was half an inch from symmetrical.
Because like if we look at the score sheet again, I think he was 61 inches on one side and 62, or 61 on one side and 62.
I'm pretty sure he's 138 and a half without deductions. He only had he was like half an inch from symmetrical.
Yeah, it was like an inch or a half.
Pretty much perfect.
Deduction. It was literally just a beautiful tall rack, giant, not 8-pointer.
Yeah.
And just like, dude, he had that kind of palmation out towards the end, kind of paddled out a little bit. That was one thing, like with Joshua's deer he just shot a few weeks ago. His brow time was literally like a paddle.
Really?
It was insane.
Like a moose.
It was weird.
Like you're really right here.
Oh, this thing's absolutely brutal.
It's kind of broken, yeah.
The 8-inch mass, man. I'm telling you, dude, that's just wow.
Yeah. Anyways, I guess the moral of the story is like I know some people don't think like God cares about stuff like just
small
crap like
people.
Hunting.
Dude,
I want to say something. I'm not going to mention any names, but last year, turkey season, Josiah put a video out. There's a guy I know, I think Josiah knows him too, but like I said, any names. He was like just thanking God or whatever.
There was that first turkey I shot. Like, dude, I don't know why that one hit some. Like that one was.
You were like all hyped up.
I was.
Damn.
I was like, I literally titled that video "The God Turkey."
And there's someone that was making fun of that. Yeah, I'm not gonna say who, but like they were just like,
I got more.
They told me they were like, does he really think that God cares about his stupid turkey? And I didn't really say anything, but looking back, I wish I would have been like, yeah, absolutely. Like in that night for sure, I knew God very much cares about our stupid desires. Mm-hmm. Like I'm saying, like not saying like, your little,
He cares about the small stuff, and like I don't think we as people,
of course, he wants to
understand that enough. Like he wants to see us happy. He's not like God's not going to be up there to strike us with a bolt of lightning when we do wrong. What God wants is a personal relationship with every last one of us. And I mean, if we're willing to, like we said, like sacrifice and give up what needs to be given up, and
he wants to see us break and realize that we can't do this thing called life without him.
And, I mean, it's true. I mean, you can't.
That day, I guess I kind of broke down and realized, as much as I hunt, as much as I work as I put into it, came down to practically a miracle. Like the way this buck, it just doesn't happen like that. I wasn't that high on the tree. I couldn't get that high on that tree.
It was a tiny little tree. You looked nothing sketchy in that tree. Yeah, it was a tiny little tree.
It's so hard to hunt a few at that. But like the guy, all the other deer, no other deer that night would have given me a shot, or even in that stand. I don't know, once I had the stand there. Then he comes in downwind of me. Everything completely different what any other deer did. And just never spotted me, never winded me. I just right at last light. Like that's crazy. That night for sure. Like the weather wasn't as good that night as it had been the night before. Like it's just,
it had been like a nice cold front. Literally it was like a 30-degree temperature drop. It'd been in the 70s the week before, and it dropped into the 30s for almost all week. Like during the day, it would go up into the 50s, but evenings and mornings would be down in the 30s to low 20s.
Yeah, the next day it was like warming up.
And it was supposed to get into the 70s and 80s again. This has been a weird year for temperature. Like now we're midway through December and finally getting cold weather.
Yeah, it's getting cold now.
Yeah, we were sitting out just a little while ago and it was like 32 degrees. But you get the right hunting gear, man.
The other morning I was on the way to work. 17.
Yeah. Dude, when you get that frost, man, I'm telling you. But that's a powerful story, honestly. Like even
I wish-
as you guys was listening, like you're probably thinking, I mean, like you just said, does God really care about the little things that we think are just so important? And I mean, it may seem so small at the moment, but you have to experience it to know what it's like.
I always knew he did, but at the same time, I don't know if I believed it as much as I did till that night. Like just the fact that he's even. I feel like God, he's willing to make a deal with, or like
Yeah.
how do you word it? Deal with like, um, like
Basically, like you said, like I'd be willing to give up social media if you give me a
Yeah.
deer. And like,
yeah.
if God
Even though
can see
that
you're
seemed,
willing to
I felt
sacrifice.
selfish that
Yeah.
almost for like being like, why can't I just delete
Yeah.
social media?
Well, yeah, like I
without-
mean, think this was literally something
I didn't have to say,
totally-
oh, hey, I'll do it if you give me $1. I could just say, well, I'll delete social media for a couple months.
I mean, that's literally something I just thought of it now. Like I shared in church the other day. So just as a little context, I had to preach at church a couple weeks ago, and I was speaking about trust, and I ended my little Bible study with this thought: trust God with everything, even though it may not make sense. When God sees that you like us is when we accept we don't have to have it. Sometimes God is willing to give us back what we were willing to give up. And that's like so simple but so powerful and true. Is that if you're willing to sacrifice, He's willing to give it back. God's not going to withhold. God's not withholding happiness from us. He wants us to be happy. So we just got to be willing to like give Him let Him do the work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's so simple, but I don't think we understand it enough to realize how powerful it really is.
He really does care about our stupid little obsessions, like
Exactly.
hunting. Even,
Exactly.
I mean, to a set, like he doesn't want to. Obviously, there's a point where you take stuff like you get obsessed with chasing bucks, take that above God, like where you're almost worshiping this sport or whatever. That's a big. You got to be careful. I'm not
Not to
saying,
take it
hey,
too
go waste all your time. Like, don't spend any time with God. Spend time hunting.
Mhm.
But like,
While you're hunting,
when I'm hunting is when I
that's
feel
my
the
best
closest
quality.
to
Yeah,
God.
that's
I
your
feel
quality
like
time with God.
that's when I'm most likely to be reading the Bible or whatever. To
Mhm.
honesty, out of anything else.
100%.
But yeah,
Well, I think that's the story, guys. I think
hopefully y'all can experience that one day for yourself if you haven't already.
If you haven't already, hopefully everybody does.
We could tell a better story. We had footage of all of
That
the,
would
like
be
Super
absolutely
Bowl or something.
That
Yeah.
would be awesome. But yeah, there's some amazing stuff. But hopefully, got some good videos coming up. I know some people are. I had some people commenting they're not too happy with me right now because I'm giving.
Okay,
some
now we start arguing.
Because I was giving up. I don't know if you guys keep up on my channel, you see I've posted a few shorts recently about just making fun of certain bow guys. And Joe, he's a bear shooter, and
I'm not a bear shooter because I think they're the best bow. I just think they're a good, affordable bow.
And that's one thing I hopefully we can.
I have other hobbies other than hunting, so
that's one thing I'm hoping we can do is do a comparison video because I had a few other people comment saying like bear is a good bow, and yes, I do agree with that. But me personally, I'd rather go spend. I'm just explaining this now. I personally would rather go spend the money on a flagship bow because I'm here shooting a phase 4, and
but having a good bow don't make you a better hunter.
That does not make you better. I mean,
which is pretty much what his video was saying.
Yeah, not necessarily. I was just like showing how different bow guys stop deer. It's just a comedy.
Yeah,
it's just like a comedy.
I know.
That stuff. Like
Some
that.
people have other expensive hobbies though, like racing. Going to an arena cross next Saturday, probably.
Where at?
Kentucky.
There you go. Go watch him in Kentucky.
Yeah, I'll probably make a YouTube video of it.
That's sweet. But anyway, guys, I think that's a wrap. So hopefully we got some new videos coming up here soon. Please comment down below what you like to hear us talk about. Like literally, I would love to get some questions and do like a Q&A podcast. That would be a lot of fun. So yeah, go drop me some questions down in the comments. Make sure to like. Live. That would be fun. I'd love to do live at some point in time. I'm going to probably do a giveaway here at the end of the year. I think I'm doing some trail camera giveaways and stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. But anyway,
I'm gonna have
you.
some trail cameras I can throw into that. I have a lot of trail
junkers
cameras.
or just actually good cameras.
Just ones that don't send you a picture.
They
I'm
take
kind of
the
a
picture. They don't send.
I'm kind of a Tacticam guy now,
I am,
and I have a lot of
Tacticam guy.
wild game innovations, like good cameras. But
The Tacticam's the way to go. So hey, if Tacticam's listening, please sponsor me.
I already have a
First
sticker
Light
on the back
sponsor
of
me.
my truck.
Oreo sponsor me. I don't know. I'll take any sponsors I can get. So,
G5, hit me up.
hit Joe up. I would be sponsored by G5. I mean, I shoot Rage, but sponsors
if
is a sponsorship.
G5, if G5 tries to that's another argument we had. We never talked about on the podcast.
I think we did a little
I think
bit.
it was right after the podcast that we kind of had this argument. So he had a couple deer duck on him, and he was blaming it on the broadhead.
No, we had that very podcast right there. Remember that one? It was right after I shot that deer.
We talked about the broadheads, but not. It wasn't after you shot the deer. That was before you shot the deer.
Was it?
Well, this is a whole nother argument.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right after I shot. That was like right after we did that broadhead testing video.
Yeah, and then we just kind of. That's when I started being like,
Oh,
that's when I really.
That's
we were
for
already
another
debating
episode,
the whole G5 versus
I
Rage.
think that's
two of the
I
best
think that's a
broadheads in
new,
my opinion. But
we're going to do another test this year. Like do fixed blades versus fixed blades, and mechanical.
that
versus
test
mechanical.
didn't really say crap.
It did about durability though.
Well, we're talking
coconuts,
about
dude?
if you count that test, G5 kicked butt.
Well, yeah,
And it wasn't
no,
even
but
involved.
dude, that fixed blade literally blew up when it hit the coconut.
I literally
The
took
Rage bent the blades a little bit, and his
Yeah,
G5
but
blew right through it.
yeah, your Rage did decent, but not.
It didn't
nothing.
break.
But I shot the coconut with my
The cocoa melon.
the cocoa melon with my bear with a G5 dead meat on it. Blew through it. Didn't even bend the blades on me. I think that I could probably go shoot a deer with that broadhead. The broadhead was actually pretty used already. I think it had already been shot into the dirt.
Probably.
And it just blew right through it, split it in half.
That's another thing. If you guys have some good video suggestions, I'd love to hear them. Because, we're going into winter time where there's not a lot of hunting going on. Probably do some hog hunting, which is
You
going
can
to be a lot
come be
of
my
fun.
cameraman in Kentucky next weekend.
Good.
Probably
You're
won't.
actually going to hunt?
No.
Oh, I'm gone next week. I'm going
Yeah.
skiing.
Dude, I'm looking forward to that. I haven't raced in a while. I tried a woods race. See if I can go get my first arena cross win.
That'd be fun.
Came so close last year.
Oh, dude, did you just wrecked
made-
over a dude? You just drove
Well,
over
that,
a dude? That's
not
what you
not
did?
that time. I wasn't gonna win it that time anyway. The time
Hey, if you guys are, go
I made
subscribe
the
to Joe's
pass.
channel.
I made the pass into the lead. My GoPro, I forgot to turn it on that race. I made the pass into the lead, and like that next corner where I was still I was kind of battling for the lead on the last lap, and my bike just shut off. Couldn't get started. I had to push my bike off.
Yeah,
Hopefully this
go
year
subscribe to Joe's channel.
I
There's
got a better bike.
Just go subscribe to Joe Osteller. He's got some dirt bike videos, some deer videos, and other videos.
Not a YouTuber, but
He does
make
YouTube.
some videos.
Makes some
Sometimes. Every now and then.
Anyway, guys.
I suck at it. But anyway,
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe. I love you guys. And Jesus loves you too. So I hope you guys know that. Like, really.
Joe loves you too.
See you guys.